Okay, so the purpose of today's advisory is to do a full credit evaluation, look at where we stand with graduation credits, and there's a couple of reports that the advisors should be handing out at this time. Feel free to pause this video as needed to check for understanding and make sure everyone has the right documents. But we're going to start with looking at the WSIPSI report that all of you should receive. Highlighted a few things that we want to pay attention to. On the top of your report is your cumulative GPA. That's your overall GPA, total GPA, in this case 3.51 on this report. And a very important line below that is your totals. So the total credits required to graduate are 24. This student has 15.5 and is in progress of zero point 0.5. Most of you should be in progress of 3.0, and the remaining total is to the far right. So that gives you kind of a sense of where you stand mathematically with your credits. And then it breaks it down subject by subject. So this report is really nice in a lot of ways, including this here. So in the subject area of English at the top, you'll see that there's 4 credits required. 3, the student's completed 3, is not in progress of any right now, remaining 1.0 that'll need to be done the senior year. And then it shows you which classes you've completed in that subject area. If you've noticed there's a class in a particular subject area as you go down that's in the wrong spot, I think we've cleaned up most of this, but you might find an error. Let us know in the counseling center so we can correct that on the report. Moving to math, just highlighted a section here because the IP in this section shows the in progress class for you. So the anything listed IP is what you're currently enrolled in for second semester, and you can break it down by Algebra 1, Geometry, and your third year of math that's required for graduation in that category. And you can go through each category and see where you stand. In this area, in this report here, you'll see that it's blank in the sections of U.S. history and civics. So this student needs to complete the credit and a half in those 2 areas. And you can go on and you can see that this student has not completed their full 3-semester sequence of PE. There's 2 there, but not 3, and so on. You'll also notice that starting with world language, there's a PPR listed here. That stands for Personalized Pathway Requirement. World language is required for those students looking to go to college after they graduate, or they want to keep that door open for perhaps applying to college. So you'll want to have those 2 years of a world language, just like this student has in German. And you'll want it for college requirements. You're going to want 2 years in the same world language. So you wouldn't want to take Spanish 1 and then German 1 unless you went to the second level of one of those. Okay. So the PPR is Personalized Pathway Requirement. If you have, let's say, a career goal to be an apprentice, maybe be an electrician or work in construction, the PPR is a section where you wouldn't necessarily have to take a world language class. You could take construction skills in that example for 2 years and meet that requirement because it's part of your personalized pathway. So there's a lot of confusion about that. It can be world language, but if your pathway is a different path, then those 2 credits can be in something else. The same is true for this fine arts PPR credit here. You'll see up here, fine arts is required for 1.0. Every student needs 1.0 of fine art. But this second 1.0 with the PPR listing could be something else if your personalized pathway is not related to an arts pathway. And then you have general electives with the 4.0, and you can see what you've completed there. So we want to spend some time today going through each of those sections to analyze where we stand. The additional state requirements at the bottom of the sheet give you an idea of where you are with your high school and beyond plan, and every student, unless they're involved in running START, every student should say not met for high school and beyond plan because that is done at the end, toward the end, late spring of your senior year. Washington State history, most of you have met that requirement through middle school. If you believe you've met that requirement and it says not met, you could come meet with your counselor and we'll try to figure that out for you. And the graduation pathway. So there are a number of ways to meet the graduation pathway. The most common way is passing both the math and the ELA SBA test. And we'll be having more attempts at that test this spring. Another way you can complete the graduation pathway is through a 2-credit CTE sequence. Or you can take an AP course, you can take a college in the high school course, or a running start course in ELA or math. So a college level course, AP, college in the high school, or running start in a particular area of math or ELA. And you can meet a graduation pathway that way, or a combination of pathways, including an SAT score in the ELA or math dimension. There's a lot to unpack with the graduation pathway. If you have questions about your pathway and whether or not you can meet that, or concerns, make an appointment with your counselor, because we won't be going through everyone's obviously individual situation on this video. So that's the WSIPSI report. I think you'll find it very helpful. If you find errors with this report, or perhaps a class is not in the right place, again, let us know in the counseling center and we'll try to correct that. The next document you can look at, so advisors is shifting gears, is looking at this transcript. So this breaks down your grades and how your GPA came to be. So you'll see the listing from left to right historically, and this student happens to have a credit that was brought over from middle school, so you see the grade 8 in there. But this is a listing of all of a historical record of your grades. The course designation key, if you're curious of what the B, the Q, the H, the S stands for, are all listed at the top. The schools you've attended also listed at the top, and some personal information at the very top. Okay, so you might want to look and see how you can see semester by semester where your GPA has fluctuated. So the high GPA semesters that you have, maybe the lower GPA semesters that you had, and then it all balances out to the cumulative line that I've highlighted there. And then the additional state requirements, just like in those WSIPSI reports, broken down there that I've circled: graduation pathway, Washington State history, and high school and beyond plan. So that's your transcript. And we will want to make sure your advisor, you return these to your advisor before the end of this session, so that we can use these for pre-registration as well. So we're going to reflect back to these, not only for your pre-registration for classes, grades 9 through 11, but and especially for seniors, reflecting back on this and demonstrating this for your student-led conference. You can also feel free to take a picture of this, have it on your phone for your conference. That might be handy to do. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do before we wrap up the session is bringing out our Chromebooks and transitioning back to Career Planner. We don't have to put the WSIPSI reports away quite yet, or the transcripts. We'll do that at the very end. We might want to reflect back to those when we do this worksheet. So let's get into Career Planner. You should know how to do this by now. Log into your STU account, hit the waffle icon at the top, find Career Planner, and we're going to go right into that. So it'll look like this. And where we're going to go from here is to that home page that we always go back to, that Assemble My Portfolio on the left-hand side. We're going to click Assignments and Worksheets, this tab at the top. And you are going to do an evaluation worksheet. It's kind of a reflection. So click that worksheet. It'll ask you to make a copy to your Chromebook into your Google Drive. So go ahead and make that copy. And you're going to see this. So you will just type in all of the information here. Read through it, put your name at the top, reflect on some of your activities and the skills, and then answer these questions down here. What are you good at? List the courses you've taken in high school that support your interests and skills, and do some reflection about what you've just seen on your report. And that is the lesson for today's advisory. It should wrap up the 30-minute lesson. And we want to save this in a location, this worksheet. We're going to save this on our Chromebook. We could also upload it into our Career Planner if we want it to stay there on the Assemble My Portfolio page. We could just go right into here and create a link from that or a file and upload it. So it's right there for our conference, depending on how far you want to go with that. But that is the end of our session today.